The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's ISCA ICAN webinar series. Today we are talking about ASCA position statements, and we have Sarah Majoros with us to lead that conversation. Before I turn it over to Sarah, I want to do some housekeeping notes. We're going to keep everyone on mute to reduce background noise. We are recording the webinar. It will be available afterwards on both the ICAN and ISCA websites. If you have questions, you can type them into the question box there on your webinar menu, and Sarah will address those at the end of her presentation. So without further ado, thank you, Sarah, for joining us today and leading us through this very important topic on the position statements from ASCA. And I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Britt. As Britt said, my name is Sarah Majoros, and I am a school counselor with Des Moines Public Schools. This is my 15th year, and during those 15 years, I have proudly been a member of both ISCA and ASCA. Today, we're going to chat about ASCA position statements. I will be honest, until just a few years ago, I never really understood the importance of the position statements. I knew they existed, but I didn't quite know what to use them for. So we are going to talk about the importance of them, how they are developed, and what we as counselors can use them for. So what is a position statement? It's exactly what it says. It is the position that an organization takes on an issue. ASCA has officially adopted a number of position statements on school counseling related and specific issues. A group of ASCA board members and other school counselors regularly review and revise position statements as needed because times do change. Position statements are added as new issues arise. For example, about a year and a half ago, they included or developed the position statement on virtual school counseling. As online learning became increasingly more important and more known throughout, there were online schools. They needed a position statement on where school counseling fit into online learning. And that position statement was developed in mid-2017, I believe. If there is a school counseling related issue that you think that ASCA should perhaps take a position on, and you would like to contact them, they do accept emails and suggestions on what they should look at developing position statements on. So where to find them? As a member of ASCA, you can go to the ASCA website, which is schoolcounselor.org, find the school counselor tab, and under that are the publications and position statements. On that page, you can check for whichever position statement you would like to look at. And they start at academic development all the way down to working with students experiencing issues surrounding undocumented status and everything in between. If you're wanting to just look at one specific statement, just click on that and it will download for you straight from the website, or you can download an entire document that has a table of contents, including all of the position statements. So the why of the position statements. Why does ASCA do this? Why is it helpful? As school counselors, we are tasked with a lot of information and a lot of different areas that we help our students navigate. So in order for us to all be on the same page, ASCA has found that it is really important for us to have these position statements so that we can have a unified front on how we are addressing these issues, what our role and responsibility is when it comes to these issues. These are truly to guide school counselors in our practice and implementation of comprehensive school counseling programs. Position statements also help us to articulate well our stand or position regarding these important issues. As we continue on today, we're going to take a look at a couple of specifics in the position statements, and we're going to talk about how this gives us a common language when we are talking about school counseling programs or the role and responsibility that school counselors take in certain issues. So when you go to the ASCA website to look at the position statements, you're going to see this title, the school counselor, and then you can click on whatever position statement you want. For example, comprehensive school counseling programs. It's going to start with the position itself, what ASCA believes is the school counselor and their role in comprehensive school counseling programs. Then you're going to have the rationale for their position. In this rationale, you're going to see that they are citing research and data oftentimes, but it does explain why they have taken the position that they have on that issue. Next is the school counselor's role, and this articulates our role as school counselors and our responsibility to our students. Fourth is a summary of the position. And then finally, the references, which lists the research and data, as well as the ASCA publications. When they are talking about where they're finding all of this information, it's in the model, in the implementation guide, in the ethical standards, as well as data that contributes to school counseling. The position statements for school counselors give us a clear and concise picture of where ASCA believes we should stand on these issues. As I was thinking about this presentation today, I was also thinking about what happens when a school counselor disagrees with the position. Now, I have not found one that I disagree with. However, as a school counselor, we know that we have to go through our beliefs as a school counselor and make sure that our beliefs are what we truly believe, as is the role of a school counselor. But I think it's important for discussion that, you might come across something that you might not necessarily agree with, and what do we do with that? And that's a good question. Like I said, I've been contemplating that today because I'm not quite sure, because this is where our professional organization stands on these issues. So that might be something for more discussion. But these position statements are reviewed, revised regularly by ASCA board members and other members of the school counseling profession. Additionally, like I said previously, if there is a new issue that arises, like virtual school counseling, like helping undocumented students, ASCA really gets on those issues pretty quickly and delves into them and really talks about what is the school counselor's role in these issues. Because we are an integral part of our schools, we really need to understand where ASCA stands on these issues so that we can align with that and we can know what our role is and what the expectation is for our professional organization. So let's go on to a specific. And of course, I want to talk about the school counselor and the comprehensive school counseling program, because this is what we do. ASCA's position, as you can see, school counselors design and deliver comprehensive school counseling programs that improve a range of student learning and behavioral outcomes, supported by data. These programs are comprehensive in scope, preventative in design, and developmental in nature. This all comes from the ASCA national model. And you can see that in there, how it outlines the components of a school counseling program. And this is our official position on what a school counseling program should be. It goes on to talk about the rationale of why we do that. A comprehensive school counseling program is an integral component of the school's mission. That is such an important sentence. And that is something that we can share with our stakeholders about the importance of a comprehensive school counseling program and its impact on student achievement. Comprehensive school counseling programs driven by student data and based in the ASCA national model ensure equitable access to rigorous education for all students, identify the knowledge and skills students will acquire as a result of the K-12 comprehensive school counseling program, are delivered to all students in a systematic fashion, are based on data-driven decision-making, are provided by a state credentialed school counselor. So all of those things are going to help us when we are talking with our stakeholders about the importance of a comprehensive school counseling program. And imagine what would happen if all school counselors in the state of Iowa were using this same language to convey the importance of having a comprehensive school counseling program following the ASCA national model with their stakeholders. So if we are all using this same language that is provided to us through these position statements, we really can get our administrators and our other stakeholders to understand what we do and how we do it. The importance of what we do and how we do it using data to drive our instruction. I've said it before in webinars, and I will say it again. Data is the love language of administrators. They love to hear about the change that has been affected in the data. Has attendance gotten better? How can we have an impact on achievement data? And it can be achievement related data. Behavior data, what are the impacts that we can have on behavior data? And being able to show that by using our comprehensive school counseling program and using our model is amazing. It's going to be amazing. So after the rationale section, and there's much more to that, I'm not going to read it all to you, but it goes on to talk about how school counseling programs are collaborative and how they use data, and also how having that highly trained professional school counselor is such an important piece, that we can't just say that people are giving a school counseling program if they're not really school counselors, because we have been trained to follow the ASCA national model, and we are all capable of doing that. It goes on to talk about the school counselor's role. Now, that seems pretty obvious when we think about the school counselor and a comprehensive school counseling program. The school counselor does that. But this details the role that the school counselor has in the program. And it goes through each of the components of a comprehensive program. It talks about what are our roles and responsibilities in developing that foundation. What are our roles and responsibilities in managing that program? And what are our roles and responsibilities in the delivery of a comprehensive school counseling program? It also talks about the duties that fall outside of that, and that understandably so, we all have that fair share, but that we have to be careful to guard our time. And it goes into great detail about the time, that 80% of time that we are to spend in direct or indirect services to our students and those activities that fit into that. It also finally talks about the accountability piece and how it is very important when you are developing and implementing your comprehensive school counseling program that you are being accountable, that you are keeping that data and that you are providing that to your stakeholders. I will tell you from personal experience, my principal and my teachers are very encouraged when I show them the data that, hey, this group of kids, we had a behavior intervention, and look at this, they have received less behavior referrals, or an attendance intervention, and wow, their attendance is better. We've done our check-in, check-outs. And so it helps with not only showing that data that is encouraging to them as other staff members, but also when I want to pull another group or to get another group of kids out of their class time, they have seen that, yep, I have data to back up what I'm doing, and it's worth the time out of class. So it's really important, that accountability piece, to show this is what our comprehensive school counseling program is doing. Now, our position statements give us the language to help us articulate that to our staff and our stakeholders. Parents as well. I would say this is another, when we're talking with parents about different issues, this gives us good language to help our parents understand where we stand on certain issues and how we can help as counselors. It also gives us, in some of these issues, guidelines for helping students, so that we know, so that we're not going beyond our ethical boundaries. Some of the position statements use the ethical standards as the data for the rationale and for the roles and responsibilities, and that we are staying within our ethical guidelines when we are doing things to help children. The fourth section is just a summary. It just kind of goes back over how, in particular for this position statement, how counselors are such an integral part of our school communities, and what we do in implementing and delivering our comprehensive school counseling program is such an important piece in our school. Goes back over the outline of the ASCA national model and the sections that help us guide that work. And the comprehensive school counseling program is supported by resources as well as a credentialed school counselor. So again, it continues to reiterate the importance of what it has talked about through the entire position statement. And then lastly, references. It talks about where they pulled all of this information from. As you can see on this slide, this position statement was officially adopted in 1988 and has been revised numerous times as needed. And my guess is will continue to be revised as needed. All of these will. And I know they do have a group that looks over them regularly to make sure that they are on the right track. When you are looking at all of the position statements, there are so many. I didn't even count how many there are. But all school counseling related issues that they have decided to include. As I said, when I went to a breakout session on position statements with some of the board members, they did talk about how this is a pretty extensive list, but it is by no means exhaustive. There are things that some schools might deal with their student population, some issues that they feel are of great need to them. that might not be included in a position statement. If that is the case, and if you feel it is a school counseling issue that needs to be addressed in some manner, they are happy to accept your email. And I would also add that it would be important to include supporting information as to why you feel like that is a school counseling issue that needs an ASCA position statement, or that you need some guidance on where ASCA would stand on that issue, and how to best articulate that. So there are so many position statements, everything from how school counselors should stand on discipline, of course, equity for all students, gender equity, student mental health is a really important position statement, social emotional development, safe schools and crisis response, and every single one of these position statements, generally they're a page and a half or 2 pages. They are not books and books of, if you print them all off together, it is about 90 pages for all of them. But as a single position statement, it is usually a front and back page. So not cumbersome to read or understand. I believe that ASCA has done a really great job in developing and providing these position statements for us. Today, I just wanted us to have a little time to talk about why we have these position statements, which we have done, where to find them, which we have done, and their importance and their usefulness. When we are talking to really anyone about what a school counselor does, we can use these position statements to articulate the importance of what we're doing, but also our responsibilities as school counselors. This is where we can help. This is what we can do to provide services to students. I always think whenever someone asks me a question on something specific, if I don't know an answer right away, I will first take a look at ASCA's position statements to see if there's some guidance in there. As we finish up a little bit, are there questions about position statements? If you have questions, please type them in and I will continue to look as I continue to wrap up my talk here. I believe in the importance of utilizing our resources from ASCA as well as from ISCA to help guide us with our school counseling programs. We all know that our kids need the things that we are providing in our comprehensive school counseling programs, and utilizing these position statements as well as following the ASCA model and using that data to help guide our programs is only going to strengthen our programs and strengthen our ability to show our stakeholders the importance of continuing comprehensive school counseling programs and hopefully getting those ratios to acceptable rates over time. I know that in Iowa, we're still pretty high with our ratios, but being able to articulate the importance of a school counseling program, a comprehensive school counseling program, as well as what you are doing that helps kids be different in their attendance, behavior, and achievement, and being able to back that up with your data and your work is so very important to your program, and also so very important for your students, because the more we can provide that information to our stakeholders about the importance of our program, as I said, the more teachers and staff members are going to be willing to say, yep, okay, a little time out of class, that's okay. We'll figure out something different, but this is important for helping their attendance, or this is important for helping their behavior, which in turn helps them with their academic achievement. So it's all very connected, and position statements give us the language that we need to make sure that people understand what our job is, what our roles and responsibilities are, and what we can do to help students be successful. I know that was a very short overview of position statements. Does anyone have questions?
While we're waiting to see if any questions come in, thank you so much, Sarah, again, for spending time this afternoon going over this topic. I know I learned a lot, and I think it's always great to know what resources are out there for everyone to use and different ideas on how to use them. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead, type them in right now. We'll hang on for a few more minutes. And I did have a question come in earlier. We will be sharing the slides. They'll be posted with the recording of the webinar. Once we get that posted to the website, the slides will be available for download as well.
Great.
Well, Sarah, I think you did your job very well. Everyone is saying that they don't have questions, but found all of this very helpful. So I think we will close with those thoughts and say thank you one more time. Have a great afternoon.
Great. Thank you.